Welcome everybody to today's webinar, the words, images, and designs that improve landing pages. Just a few items before we get started. The presentation deck will be available to you after the webinar. Use the question pane with questions or comments in real time in the GoToMeeting control panel. And be sure to stick around after the webinar. We'll be giving away free offers for a custom landing page evaluation. For those of you who are on the Twitterverse, you can message Chris directly at Chris Goward, or you can use the hashtag CRO. Just a little bit about today's presenter, Chris. He's been a marketing strategist and internet entrepreneur since 1994, and he's developed a lot of WIDERFENNEL's processes, including the lift model and the Kaizen. He's in demand as a speaker globally. He'll be actually leaving tomorrow for London and will be speaking in Helsinki. He also has a book on conversion optimization that will be released in January. Now, without further ado, here's Chris.
Great, thanks, Joseph. And we'll get right into the content today. We've got one slide here, and we've got a lot of people on the webinar, so this is great. You know, as Joseph said, feel free to ask questions, and we'll get to them at the end of the QA session. But so I've got one slide about what we do to give context. Some of you we probably haven't met before. So WIDERFENNEL is a conversion optimization agency. All we do is conversion optimization testing. And I always get this question, so usually at the end of these sessions, so I want to clarify that when we do testing for our clients, we do everything from the beginning of creating a conversion optimization strategy with the marketing team to planning individual tests, analysis of the pages, web analytics, creating wireframes, copywriting, graphic design, and development, and results analysis. Landing page optimization is a component of conversion optimization, and it's really focused on the landing pages that come from your campaigns, typically paid search or direct marketing campaigns. And so we do a lot of landing page optimization. Today we're talking specifically about landing pages, but also conversion optimization as a whole. We also do web analytics to support conversion optimization and to identify the prioritization of where to test, where to improve, and where to focus your energy. And also a product that we've launched based on client demand is an unbiased paid search audits. So we don't manage paid search accounts at all. We don't do paid search or SEO, but we're often seeing that the web analytics work we're doing is revealing insights that can help people improve their paid search campaigns. So we've rolled this out as a separate product, and a lot of people are benefiting from that, helping to make improvements, whether they're managing their paid search internally or through an external agency. And you know, most importantly, the results. All of our clients that have ongoing testing accounts with us have conversion rate lift between 10% and over 400% for every multi-test client. And so we aim to continue that work, and we do have a guarantee, but no one's actually had to use it. So it's just a piece of paper, really, at this point. But that's good news for everyone that we work with. So let's start. We always like to start with a little bit of a testing game to test your conversion skills. So limber up your mouse clicking finger, and we'll get you to vote on some tests and see which of these actual real-life tests, what the results were and which one won. So first of all, we've got a test here that we did with Hair Club. And Hair Club, if you're familiar with them, they're a high-volume direct marketer. They've done a lot of DRTV over the years and radio, and now they're doing, well, they have been for several years now, doing a lot of paid search online. Their PPC landing pages had hit a plateau. They'd done a lot of tuning, but they needed more than just tuning. They really needed to rethink some of the approach they were taking. So here's the experience that you're having. You know, you search for hair restoration wherever you are, and you get a paid search ad in Google. Click on that ad, and you arrive on the landing page. Well, they needed to improve those landing pages, so they worked with us to test variations on the design, content, layout, and call to action that would maximize conversions. Now, here are 3 variations that we tested in one particular test. Variation A was what we called the emotive approach. We had rotating images here, the beautiful women and the scenery and sort of the benefits you would expect from a full head of hair, right? And variation B was a static approach. Now, A and B had the same video on the right-hand side with a call to action button. Variation C was push the needle even further on the static content approach, where we had a little bit more description, value proposition about the services, and testimonials on the right with a call to action down below and a direct flow from at the bottom of the value proposition content. So the question for you now is, which one of these 3 had the highest conversion rate? And we're going to open up a poll, so you can vote on which one you think had the highest conversion rate. Variation A was emotive imagery, variation B was static with the video, and variation C was even more value proposition content, pushing the needle on the static content. So got your votes coming in. I see the votes pouring in here. That's great. And we're going to close down the poll now and take a look at what you think worked. Let's take a look at the poll results. And look at that. Variation C had a vast majority of the vote. So, as I always say, imagine yourself in your boardroom with your digital agency presenting their concepts for your new landing page, or your internal designer, right, showing you which concepts. And how do you choose which one should go live on your pages? A lot of people will use the HIPPO approach, right? The highest paid person's opinion. They're the one that sits at the end of the boardroom table and points at the one that they think should go live. And of course, some people are using the black turtleneck method, right? People, the guy that's wearing the sunglasses inside the boardroom, he's at the other end of the boardroom table. If you're a creative organization, you may look to him to which one to point to. But of course, we're using the customer method, and the real result shows variation B. The mix of static content with the video actually had the highest conversion rate lift. And you know what's interesting is, the majority of people on the call today voted for C, but it turns out that C actually had the chance of decreasing the conversions against the control. In fact, it was showing an 18% conversion rate decrease against the control when we pruned it. And so in this case, a little bit more static content actually hurt results. And of course, there were layout differences as well. This is what we call a variable cluster test, where we're taking a dramatically different approach to the layout and design to see if we can increase the conversion rate. And it turns out the best one was variation B. And they've also got a marketing insight. And I talk about this, but the marketing insight is sometimes even more important than the immediate conversion rate lift. Now, the conversion rate lift, of course, is what we always aim for. But the marketing insight here is interesting because their visitors were rejecting the aspirational emotive imagery. Maybe the bouncing beautiful women is not what people are looking for on these landing pages. This can impact their marketing strategy. What are people actually just looking for solutions to their problem? Maybe there's too much emotive imagery involved, and maybe that's just a distraction. So let's take a look at another example here. And don't feel too bad. You've got another chance here to redeem yourself from that first vote. Favecraft is a consumer marketing company, and their business is driven by email signups. So they're building email lists of people that were interested in hobbies, specifically in this case, crochet. So this is a website they've built for getting crochet patterns, and there's a whole community here about learning about crochet and crafting and communicating with others and having forums and discussing. And the real goal when people arrive on this page is there's a pop-up that comes up to sign up for your unlimited free access to thousands of quick and easy craft projects. And so you enter your email and you sign up for the newsletter, and you get free crochet patterns. So this being their most important business driver, this pop-up window was critically important to the business. So we worked with them to improve the sign-up rate for that. And here are 2 of the variations that we tested for them. In this case, variation A is social. That's what we call it. Variation B we call tangible. And the only difference is the image that was used on the left-hand side of the pop-up. So variation A is, of course, communicating, or sorry, and the associated subhead. So we matched the subhead with the image. So we're getting at the value proposition content here that maximizes the return. Variation A had, the social image, and it said, join our community, get unlimited access to thousands of free craft projects. So it's getting it at the social aspect, the community aspect of the website. Variation B has the tangible image of a crochet blanket and something that you could create with the patterns. It says instant unlimited access to thousands of free projects. And so in reality, the benefits are the same. It's the emphasis that was changed. So which one had the highest sign-up rate? Let's open up the poll again, and you can vote. Was it A, social interaction, or B, tangible? What do you think? What's more important for these visitors? The social aspect of it, to join the community and get access to thousands of free products, or B, the tangible image? So we've got the votes coming in, and the majority have voted now. That's great. So let's turn the poll off and take a look at the results. Great. So we've got 72% voting for tangible, 28% for social. Let's look at what actually happened. Very interesting. Go back to, yeah, there we go. What actually happened is a 10% conversion rate lift for B. So if you voted for B, fantastic. Give yourself a raise. You've just increased business drivers by 10%. And, there's a potential insight here that we should all take to heart, is that, there's a lot of talk about social media and social media marketing, and it's, sort of dominated headlines over the past few years, and, of course, not all good in the headlines. We've seen how Facebook's shares have taken a pummeling because they just haven't been able to convert all that social activity into revenue as much as people expect. So social isn't everything, right? The question you should ask here is, all of the emphasis that you've put on social media on your website, all your Facebook activity, all of the images and calls to action around social, is it distracting from your primary message? Are these the right types of images and interactions that you should be focusing on? My advice, you should test that, okay? Because social is not everything. Here, another example of two things that we tested for Faith Crafts. Variation A was called minimal. Variation B was tangible. So let's open up the polls. Variation A, we reduced the amount of content, reduced the images, and just had a headline and 3 bullets. It went straight to the call to action. Variation B, of course, had the image and said get free crochet patterns and unlimited access. So more value proposition with image or minimalist? Let's get your votes in there, and then let's take a look at what happened. All right, again, we've got 66% voting for tangible, so that one's a favorite, and 34% for minimal. Well, let's take a look at what actually happened. Turns out minimalist won with an 18% lift in conversion rate. So that was a very interesting result. We had, I don't think, often when we run these tests, we start with a vote. Everyone, within the team and outside the team, we all vote on which one we think won. I don't think anyone voted for this one, actually, in this case, but it won nonetheless. And the humbling part about conversion optimization is the variations don't listen to what you're voting for. they just do what they want to do, based on customer feedback. So that's great. And the potential learning here and the principle that we're seeing is, minimalism can work well. And so get to the point in your copywriting. Use words that communicate clearly and minimize the content. I often say cut your copy in half and cut it in half again, and you're probably getting to the right level of copywriting. So, that's a good lesson from that test. So, but, more importantly, we're talking about, we've seen some examples here of test results, some examples of the words and images that you should use and should test using, but how you actually make sure that you get consistent results. It's not about tips and tricks. I can tell you the types of images that we're seeing working on some clients and the types of words that we're seeing working, but really, to get the best results on an ongoing basis, you need a process to create powerful hypotheses, an unending stream of powerful hypotheses. Now, I'm going to show you one of the frameworks, and if you've been on our webinars before, you've seen the lift model before, and also show some examples of how it works, and then we'll get to some other examples here. But first of all, I want to let you know that if you haven't seen the lift model before, it's something that we're using across industries. So it works in all industries. We're working with B2B clients. You'll see the logos here of some of the clients we're working with. B2B, B2C, lead gen, e-commerce, affiliate marketing, subscription businesses. And these work, the frameworks that we're using and the process we're using work across industries because people are people, regardless of where they're at, regardless of whether they're buying for B2B or considering a major purchase, or if they're just shopping for clothes, or people respond in the same way. They're all the same people. And so what we found are ways to think from the perspective of the visitor, get in their shoes, and understand what drives them to act. So, but is all this work worthwhile? Does conversion optimization actually work? You've seen examples today, and I want to show you that conversion optimization works. It's worth the effort to put into it. How many people in social media can tell you that their overall improvement to business results is 40%? Well, that's our average conversion rate lift for the clients we're working with. And I don't show this to brag. I show it to say that conversion optimization is often an undervalued strategy in a lot of marketing departments and companies, but it's gaining traction. We're seeing a lot more companies adopting it as a core business process. And so, it's worthwhile. If you're not on board yet, of course, you need to get on board. And I know a lot of you are already testing, and that's great. What I hope is that we'll keep improving that process and results. So let's take a look at the lift model again. It's gaining a lot of popularity, so you may have seen it around in conversion optimization circles, but at its core, the lift model shows the 6 conversion factors. And by the way, as Joseph mentioned, I've got a book coming out in a couple months. It'll be launched in January, and we go into much more detail on behind the lift model. What I show in these webinars is really the high level of the 6 factors. If you go to youshouldtestthat.com, you can sign up for an email to find out when the book's out. If you want more detail about the lift model, we'll get into a lot of it there. But let's take a look at it now. The value proposition is the core of your conversion rate. And the value proposition is the whole set of perceived costs and benefits in taking your call to action. And I say perceived because that's probably the most important part to understand about value proposition. It's not just a set of features and costs. It's also the intangibles, more than just the tangibles of the product. The perception of the people's mind about the trust they have to have in your company, the graphic design, the credibility. And these can all be tested in value proposition. Relevance is important as well. That's relevance to the source media, relevance to the visitor's needs. And so the rest of the 6 factors, including relevance, really enhance or detract from the value proposition, and that's the core. Let's take a look at an example of relevance here. Searching for video editing software, and I ended up on a video editing software review site. So, it shows a bunch of reviews about the software, and this banner ad on the right appeared. And I thought, that's a great example of relevance. So the visitor, arriving on this site might take a look at that and say, hey, that's cool. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Obviously, I'm looking for video editing software. This says make the perfect movie. Well, that's exactly what I want. So I click on the ad, and what happens on the landing page? Well, unfortunately, it doesn't pay off the make the perfect movie promise. It's lost the scent trail, and it goes straight for the kill. It goes for Power Director 10 Deluxe. Well, Power Director 10 Deluxe isn't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how to create the perfect movie. And in fact, there's no content on this page. It goes straight to the price and features of the product and reviews, and it doesn't actually pay off how to make the perfect movie. So, this is a loss of relevance. But, that's a scent trail issue. There's another aspect of relevance that's just as important, and that's understanding your target audience. When you're communicating, you need deep understanding of the personas involved in your target audience. And when we're, for example, our copywriters are at WIDERFENNEL, when we do copywriting, we spend a lot of time to understand what is your positioning, who is your audience, what are they thinking about, what are the keywords that they're using when they arrive on your page, what's in their mental model, what's on their mind, what solutions are they looking for. And what you need to do is to speak in their language to create relevance, know their search terms, know their vernacular, know how to drive them to action. So after relevance, the next factor we look at is clarity. Clarity of the presentation is very important and includes many aspects, including clarity of the eye flow, clarity of the layout, clarity of the imagery, clarity of the value proposition and the content, the copywriting, and clarity of the call to action. Show an example of this as well, of a clarity problem that we encountered on another test that we ran for Singular Software, where we landing on this landing page for pluralized software. This software is for video editing professionals to help them synchronize multiple streams of video. And there's this image on the right of fish, and so you might wonder, what does fish have to do with video editing software? Well, it turns out it's actually a clever analogy of multiple streams of video coming together into one, right? But that takes a lot of work for your landing page visitors to understand, and so clever analogies like that can really lose people. So it turns out we did, of course, testing on the page and found a high clarity set of images and value proposition copy that gave a 17% lift in downloads and a 2,400% ROI on the project. I mean, how many other projects than conversion optimization can you get at 2,400% ROI? So that was pretty cool. But what it also showed was the types of tangible images that directly hit the features that your visitors are looking for is very important. Okay, so factors that reduce conversion rates. Anxiety is a huge one, right? Anxiety online, but it might not be solved with the types of images you think, or most people are commonly heard or talking about. We've talked about anxiety, credibility symbols, and there's a lot of talk in conversion optimization and e-commerce circles about using these trust symbols, these credibility indicators. So ask yourself, though, is it creating trust in your visitor's mind? Is that what they're looking for when they're looking for credibility? Well, bricks and mortar retailers have been perfecting the warm and welcoming shopping environment for decades, for centuries, in fact. What you're looking at here is the type of environment that they've come up with and evolved over time to create that environment that makes you want to spend money. So the question is, would you rather shop here, or would you rather shop in a high security environment, right? An environment that's oriented towards making sure you are totally safe and free from harm. Well, that is not the kind of place I want to open my wallet. And it turns out that a lot of these so-called best practices about the types of security symbols that you should use may be false. In fact, in a test of a security symbol that looked just like this, the overemphasis on security actually can create anxiety, and in this case, reduced sales by nearly 2%. By simply isolating the addition of that McAfee secure symbol, it reduced sales. And what was happening here is that it was too close to the call to action. It was causing distraction, causing anxiety, raising questions in people's minds that they weren't asking at that point. So, so think about the experience of the visitor and not just, following what a lot of consultants might tell you is best practices. So anxiety, another factor that can reduce conversions, is distraction. We've talked a lot about distraction already today. And the example of Hair Club is a good one, where rotating images and the types of images are getting people redirected to thinking about something totally different than their hair solution. And in this case, they overplayed the sexy card. But the principles of distraction apply to the images that you're using. Are the images clearly communicating your value proposition, or are they distracting your visitors? Do you have too many images on your pages? Do you need images at all? These are the types of things you should be asking and asking your audience by testing. All right, another factor, of course, is urgency. That's the final factor in the LIFT model. And we ran a test for WineExpress.com, and WineExpress is a great example. This is an email landing page. So they send out millions of emails to their audience, and they arrive on this landing page for their Wine of the Day offer, where they offer a bottle of wine or a case of wine, and you get shipping for just 99 cents a bottle. And so this is a great offer, and people come to this page in droves to watch the sommelier wine testing videos and order their wine. But the emphasis on this urgency was really low. The 99-cent offer for 24 hours only was really, we felt hidden in this page. So here's an example of how to boost urgency. Put a bold headline in the header up there. First thing you see says order in the next countdown timer, inserted, to get 99-cent shipping. So we had a countdown that showed the exact number of minutes and seconds that people had, that the visitor had to order their wine before missing out on that 99-cent shipping offer. So the types of words to use are things that create urgency in the visitor's mind. In one case, for an RV rental company, we tested adding urgency, and just adding the words that created a sense of scarcity increased conversion rates substantially. But it's something you should test, absolutely. And so we've talked about the words and images that you should use, but again, most importantly, and I always want to drive this one home, the value of a structured testing process. I can't overestimate this. You may ask, do you really need to go through all that work? Can't you just throw a designer in the room and come up with a bunch of variations, or test some of these words and do some searching on conversion blogs to find a list of tips and tricks? And in fact, it's interesting. I think 3 years ago, I wrote a blog post that showed 31 conversion optimization tips, and still to this day, it's one of our most popular blog posts. And it's fascinating to me because the reality is a lot of those tips are not going to work for every business. They're tips on what to test. They're tips on ideas. And so a lot of people are still out there looking for those tips to find the silver bullet to increase their conversion rate. But in reality, the variations that you should test are unique to the situation that your website and your prospects are in when they're searching for a solution. So a structured testing process will ensure that you're actually solving for business problems. Now, what's interesting here, and what I want to get at, is there's actually research that's been done here. eConsultancy has done research on the value of a structured testing process. And this is great. We've been waiting for this for years because we've based WIDERFENNEL on the foundation that a structured process would deliver the results. And it turns out, based on their research, that a structured process in conversion optimization is worth 200%. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that in their research, the companies that were doing conversion optimization that had a structured process for conversion optimization were twice as likely to have seen large increases in sales than those who did not have a structured process for conversion optimization. So is it worth going through that effort? Well, it doesn't really take any more effort to use a structured process. In fact, it gives you more predictability and better results. So the question now is, what are you waiting for? Right? What are you waiting for? Just to tie the cat theme back all the way through from the front to the end. And so, you know, let's get started today. What we actually are offering as well today, as Joseph mentioned, is a special offer for a free custom landing page evaluation. We've got 10 time slots available for this webinar, and it's scheduled on a first-come, first-served basis for anyone on this webinar. So if you're listening in and you're interested, email iwant@widerfunnel.com to find out if you qualify. Tell us the URL of the web page you'd like evaluated, and if you've got a minimum 30,000 unique visitors per month, you can qualify for the free landing page evaluation. So go ahead and email now. Usually they get snapped up pretty quick. So go ahead and send your email to iwant@widerfunnel.com, and don't worry, we'll wait for you. We have QA starting now, but it'll only take you a minute. Put in your URL and your traffic levels, and we'll make sure we get to that. So what we're going to do is talk about, if you've got some questions, again, feel free to put them in the right panel, and we'll get to those questions. In just a moment, we're questions coming in, and you can open the panel up now. Okay, so we've got some questions here. When you look at conversion rate, do you look at conversion rate for the given landing page or total conversion rate of the user if the user links through to another part of the website from the landing page? Okay, great question. Yes, when we're testing, we always want to look at conversion rate wherever it happens. So if there's, you know, if someone lands on a landing page and they're entered into an experiment, then we want to track those unique visitors wherever they convert. So if they leave the landing page and in fact 2 or 3 days later come back to the website and they've seen the landing page and it's affected their perception of the company, and then they convert on another page in another part of the website, we will track that as a conversion because that's an important part of the audience to capture. So it's not just the immediate conversion, it's the conversion at any point that we want to track and attribute to the variation that they saw. Okay, thanks for that question. That's a good one. All right, so we've got more questions coming in. One here, can you explain this structured process more? What does it actually mean versus non-structured? How do I find a structure in which to use for my testing? Thanks for that question, Mark. And yeah, the structured process is, so what I gave you today was a starting point for some of the structure we use when we're doing tests. The lift model is one framework that we use to give structure to how we analyze the pages. But you're right, there's a lot more to the structured process than just the lift model. Part of the process we use, we call the Kaizen method. And you know, Kaizen is just, it's a Japanese word called, it means continuous improvement. And that's part of the process as well, part of the perspective we take. If you go to our website, you can find a little bit more about it, the 7-step testing process that we use. And within each of those 7 steps, of course, there's a lot of detail and structure that we just don't have space for on the website to put, and that's really a lot of the process we use. And so, you know, that's something that we introduce with our clients. And in fact, we're often helping people to develop the process that they can use through knowledge sharing, where we're helping to train a team for them to get that structured process up and running within their organization. So that's really what WIDERFENNEL does, is help to implement and train your group into the structured process of testing and improvement. Another question here from Sarah. Question about WIDERFENNEL. Do you offer a custom landing page design service? We like to do our own A/B testing tracking, but may want to help with a new design. Yeah, certainly we can help with that. We do landing page design, and what we would do actually is, you know, it's fine if you want to continue doing your own testing, and that's great. We'll start by building a landing page with some tests built in. And so what we would do is, you know, we would start you off with how we would test for a starting point, and then if you want to take it from there, you can, you know, of course, feel free to to take your own ideas or build on the ideas that our strategists put together and continue testing. We're not precious about keeping testing all to ourselves. We believe anyone can test, and so we want to promote best practices that actually work. Thanks for that, Sarah. All right. When I look at a landing page, how do I know what to change in order to increase conversions? Is it really all just trial and error? Yeah, Becky, that's a good question. At first it may look like trial and error, and when you're first learning testing, there's a lot of that involved because to become a skilled strategist, to be honest, there is no shortcut to getting there other than seeing a lot of test results and learning through exposure to various industries and various scenarios how to think about the types of interactions. There's three components to conversion optimization, and I haven't gone into this in this webinar, but there's a part of persuasion marketing where you have to understand, the conversion strategist has to understand how to persuade people to act, how to give them the motivation to act. And then there's the transactional side, which involves the principles of usability and understanding how to create interactions that people love. And then, of course, the third component is scientific testing, that rigorous process to test. But really, I've tried to communicate as much as I can about the tips, and there's going to be a lot more, as I said, in the book that's coming out. You should test that. But there's nothing to replace just experience of seeing test results, putting your ideas out there in the public, and finding out what actually works, and learning from that. And in fact, we're often seeing, what's interesting is cross-pollination of ideas between industries. So, exposure to multiple industries is a huge part of it as well. We're often seeing test results in B2B companies that our strategists are saying, you know what, that's actually got a similar mental model to a scenario in an e-commerce industry. And so we're able to take those ideas and test things that someone in e-commerce would never have thought of, because often we all suffer from this, right? The inside the bottle syndrome, where you're stuck within your industry and you can't read the label on the outside because you're stuck staring at your own website. And so looking outside of the industry is a tip that I would give for getting good ideas for testing as well. But yeah, and a lot of it is trial and error. Sometimes you'll find surprising results that will teach you something, and you'll learn what to do and what not to do. And also, I should mention, one of the things we do when we run tests, and what's important, is to document the test results, so it then gets disseminated throughout the organization. We often create playbooks for clients where we've got sort of this ongoing results that can be used for that method, for that purpose, I mean. Okay, looking at some more questions. Man, there's a lot of questions coming in. This is great. How can you test to reduce bounce rate as Google sees it? I'm using Visual Optimizer for testing, and it can sort of do this. Well, testing to reduce bounce rate is an interesting question, because whereas we believe Google is looking at bounce rate itself is not directly, in most cases, a business metric that you want to optimize for, unless in some cases it may be closely related to page views, which for publishers might be important. But really, I wrote a blog post about why that was called "Don't Optimize Your Bounce Rate," and it's true. For conversion optimization purposes, you really want to optimize for whatever is closest to revenue, whether it's generating valuable leads, generating more sales, or generating higher average order value. Those are the things that you want to optimize for. And but in general, when you improve the conversion rate, a byproduct of that will be reducing the bounce rate. And so it's good to monitor bounce rate in your analytics, but still focus on conversion rate as your primary optimization metric. But they work together, right? So I have yet to see an example where you improve the conversion rate and your bounce rate also increases dramatically. That's just not the case. They're positively correlated there. Okay, what kinds of tools for A/B tests do you usually use? That's from Isabella. And we use a variety of tools. We're technology agnostic. We recommend some tools depending on the situation that the client is in. So we use all kinds of different tools. Sometimes they're homegrown tools that a company has built internally. Sometimes it's not, but we often are using, for example, Optimizely is a great tool that is really rising in popularity. Optimizely allows you to easily get tests running, and we use it a lot. We're very familiar with Optimizely and have our developers developing all kinds of great add-ons and methods for that. Unfortunately, Google Website Optimizer has been killed by Google just recently, and that was a favorite tool of ours as well, but it's no longer available. Visual Website Optimizer, as someone mentioned, is also a tool that's gotten a lot of popularity. Test and Target is offered by Adobe. For if you really want targeting features, then you might want to look at that. For testing alone, it's probably overkill, and there are easier tools to implement. If you want just landing page hosting and testing alone, Optimizely and Visual Website Optimizer are mainly for within testing websites, testing within a website. But for landing pages, Liveball by Ion Interactive is good. Unbounce is good too for startups and for getting pages up quickly. But there are all kinds of tools. There are dozens of them that I could name, but and really it depends on what you're looking for and the level that you're at with your testing. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to, with limited time, which one's going to be the most valuable for everyone in the audience. Here's another one from Greg. What's more effective, multivariate testing or A/B testing? We run into an issue of a testing bottleneck. We have so many things to test, but I have to wait for results. Yeah, it's a good question. Again, it's another one that I wrote a blog post about, A/B versus multivariate testing. And there's a lot of details there that I won't have time to get into here, but in general, I can tell you that we're strongly emphasizing A/B testing, or more specifically, or accurately, what we call ABN testing. And the N just stands for any number of variations. And so typically we're testing in cycles where we're testing 3 or 4, sometimes 5 variations against the control, and testing faster rounds rather than multivariate testing, where test rounds can take longer to get results, and also can really make people too reliant on the tool. What we would rather do is test value proposition approaches and include isolations for the really important marketing questions that we have. So using A/B testing does not mean that you don't get learning. We do, and we aim for it in every test. But we can pick and choose which learning is actually more important, rather than with multivariate testing, where you just have to test everything as an isolation and often bog down your visitors and not get the significance that you need. Okay. What do we have here? Is there a question? How do you spell optimization? That's funny. Can you go down? Oh, Optimizely. Optimizely, yeah. OPTIMIZELY.com. You're testing my spelling bee skills here without seeing it in front of me. Optimizely.com with a Y at the end. Yeah. All right. So another question. We're in a niche market. 30,000 uniques is not viable. Does that mean we're not meant to be? It doesn't mean you're not meant to be. But the reason we talk about 30,000 is, first of all, more traffic means you can get more test results fast. But also, it's really based on ROI. For it to work with us, we can't work with everyone because it's just the ROI may not make sense. But if you have high average order values, it can make sense. So it's really a mix between the average order value and the traffic levels. And what we do, and you know, if you contact us at iwant@widerfennel.com, we can go through an ROI calculator that really helps you to make a decision and make a business case for whether working with an external agency like WIDERFENNEL to get the best results is best for you, or whether you know, a learning as you go approach would make more sense. It just, you know, depends on you know, the difference is time, speed to results, and ROI. So that's what we can help work with you on. Right. Any suggestions? Any suggestions how to get the management team to agree to a budget for conversion? That's from Sarah. Without knowing how tests will perform until you test them, it makes it difficult. Yeah, that to a certain extent that's true, Sarah. And that's why when we talk to companies and help people like yourself create a business case, we will use examples in similar industries of case studies and, you know, the average results that we've seen, and really help with context while being very conservative in our estimation. You know, we always want to make sure that we can over-deliver. But the reality, from all the research that's, you know, that's being done right now, and there's a lot of, you know, recent research showing conversion optimization just does work. It's not even a question of whether it works now. It's a question of how fast and how soon can you get your results going. So it's really a question of prioritization. But the ROI is easy to prove. I mean, in fact, it's interesting. People, you know, often ask about, well, how do I know what results I'm going to get? Well, the fact that you can actually measure the results you're getting from every project with statistical significance is incredible. I mean, what other expenditure do you make that you know at the end of it, you're going to know with certainty the result you're getting, whether it's a winner or improving your business results or not. I mean, a lot of people will go straight into a redesign and say, well, you know, we're going to have to spend $100,000 on redesigning our website, and there's no idea whether that's going to generate business results, but you're certainly going to get a prettier header image, right? Or, you know, you're going to redesign your business cards. What's the ROI from that? You know, so think about it in context of, you know what, we're reducing our risk for by knowing that we're working with a process that works. It has worked in the past, and there's all kinds of research showing that it works. And in fact, we're going to measure it. So there's no better security you can get than conversion optimization. And you know, and again, you know, we can help if you email iwant@widerfennel.com. We're happy to help you put together that business case with the ROI calculators and the case studies and all the support stuff that you need to make a good case for within your company. All right. I think we've got time for one more question. We're hitting the end here, and I want to make sure that we let you guys go. Also, keep in mind that the recording for this will be available. And the question here, is it logical to consider 3 different funnels you can test simultaneously? Visitor to cart, cart to checkout, and checkout to conversion. So, yeah, well, visitor to cart and cart to checkout and conversion, unless I'm not understanding the question, those would seem to be the same funnel. They're just 3 steps in the funnel. And so you would want to be careful about testing those at the same time. We would recommend testing them separately or testing them as a whole. So we often test entire paths. So conversion from you know, cart to conversion, we would test in a multi-step test. So that's one structure of a test. Or if you want to test them separately as individual steps, then we would not test them all at once, because the impact of the first step would influence the results of the second and third steps. And so you'll end up with actually muddied results and unreliable results. So yeah, test those separately. However, if you're talking about separate conversion funnels, truly separate conversion funnels, where you're testing, for example, different landing pages, then it's usually safe enough to test them at once because you're going to have very low overlap between the audiences, right? So in that case, the risk of having the people polluted between tests is probably lower than the benefit of getting faster results from multiple pages. So those are the types of things that we work through with clients in our Kaizen method, where we come up with a Kaizen plan that prioritizes the testing opportunities. And those are priorities. There's 3 factors we use to prioritize test results, and we can get into that in a Kaizen plan. Or, of course, if you buy the book, you should test that. So, so that's all we've got for today, and I really appreciate your time and attention, and see some of our clients on here, and thanks for joining us again. And call out to Scott there. Good to have you on. And we'll connect again soon. And we'll have a PowerPoint to this one as well sent out, and a link to the recording so you can watch it there. And make sure you send an email and to iwant@widerfunnel.com with any questions, or if you'd like the free landing page evaluations. And have a good one. Talk to you soon.